Episode 2, A Trail of Breadcrumbs. There was a rustling sound behind my back. I turned around abruptly. No one was behind me, only my room drowned in the darkness of night. That's enough. I dashed to the door, flung it open, and rushed into the hallway. The hallway was as dark as my room, with just a sliver of light from the moon filtering in through the open balcony doors. The hallway was quiet, cool, but my skin was covered in sweat. Once again, I heard a noise behind me, the sound of creaking floorboards and footsteps. I turned around nervously. I was scared. I must have looked insane because my host gave me a slightly bewildered look. Miss Cahoon, what's going on? Are you talking about the power outage? It happens frequently in Calcutta. We lose power often here. It would be back in a couple of hours. I heard strange noises in my room. Noises? Yes, creaking, rustling, that sort of thing. The woman gave me a friendly smile and waved her hand. Oh, that's normal too. Our home is old. It was built during the colonial period. What you're hearing is the house settling. It's just louder at night because it's quiet. During the colonial period? Was it built back when India was a British colony? Yes, it's over 50 years old and it's never been renovated. I heard footsteps and a man's voice coming from the farthest room down the hallway. Now, young lady, go back to your room. The woman gave me a stern look. Arianya's about to get up and you're undressed. Don't do this again. Only then I noticed that Priyanka was fully clothed. She wouldn't have dared to leave her bedroom in pajamas. Maybe that's why she seemed surprised when she saw me. Yep, you're being impolite. I just realized I'm being impolite. It was just difficult for me to navigate my room in the dark, but I didn't mean to be disrespectful. It's fine. As we say here, the shame is not in the eyes of the dancer, but in those of the onlooker. Next time, just put something on. Of course. I'm gonna go back to my room now. May I please ask for your candle? Of course you can take it, but do you really need it at night? You can't even imagine how much I need it. The woman handed me the candle and we wished each other good night. I went to my room to go back to sleep. It was morning when my eyes opened again. It's one of the reasons why I love other cultures. In the daylight, all of my fears seemed silly and unreal like a bad dream. There was a burned-out candle in the nightstand by the bed, and the floor lamp was on. I guess it turned back on when the power came back. There was a knock on the door. I sat up in bed quickly, adjusting my hair and rubbing my eyes. Come in. Good morning, my dear. Sana is making breakfast. I came in to bring you something and help you. Help me with what? I noticed a pile of clothing in the woman's hands and a small jewelry box on top of it. Allow me to help you get dressed and do your hair. It would give me such joy to do so. What a beauty you'd be in sari. If you dressing in the Indian clothes, passerbyers would be less interested in you. The British aren't particularly well liked here, I'm sure you understand. It would be much easier for you if you look like a local. You'd also gain more respect. Besides, offending a foreign girl isn't as scary as offending an upper-caste Indian girl. Well, sure, why not? Give me a couple minutes to wash up. After a short while, Priyanka began to show me the saris she had brought. We have a beautiful one, a gorgeous one, a cute one. Okay, I mean, I'm kind of digging this one. It looks pretty. But then I have to look at that diamond cost. All of them look really nice, I will say that. I mean, that one looks nice as well, but I guess I'll go with that one. It's beautiful.
You look lovely, Amala.
I spun around to see myself from every angle in the mirror. I can't believe that I'm in India wearing a sari. You can't run away from your roots. I wonder if I will ever feel like I belong here.
Please have a seat. Let's fix your hair and pick out some jewelry.
The updo. Ooh. Beautiful curls. Modest. It's a tough one. I don't think I'll just stick with the modest. Then we have elegant earrings. I would have thought the jewel hanging off of the top to your crown of your head would have been the jewelry, but... So we only have two, well, three. I'll do neat earrings. Priyanka looked at me with a smile.
You are beautiful. I know you like it here in India, but in this new sari, your journey will be even more fun.
I thanked her and looked in the mirror once more.
Now, let's have breakfast.
I'll be down in a couple of minutes. I want to call my younger brother first.
Younger brother?
Her surprise struck me as strange. She seemed embarrassed, even confused. Yes, his name is Kieran. He remained in London.
Kieran. It means ray of sunshine. Such a lovely name.
Yes, that's true. Mom really wanted a son. He was a late child, so he was like the son to her, so she loved him very much.
Each child is the son to their mother. Amala means shiny crystal clear. Probably you were your mother's little sparkle, just as your brother was a ray of sunshine.
A sudden pang of sadness hit my chest. I looked away. The key word is probably. If Priyanka is right, why did my mom leave us? If we meant so much to her, why did she leave? I decided not to torture myself with these questions for the millionth time, especially in front of a stranger. Mom had left us 2 years ago, and I still wasn't sure why. I didn't have time to get over it because I needed to care for my brother and run our store. We needed money to survive, and I took on full responsibility. I didn't have time to cry, but the tangle of questions, thoughts, and grief lingered deep in my chest. To be honest, I try not to think about it. I have far too many responsibilities and worries to allow myself to miss someone who doesn't even care about us. I'm not going to waste my time on her. You are trying to suppress your feelings. This will affect the future. Well, it's also she's a stranger, like... I myself don't like dump emotions on someone who's, you know, unknown to me, that I may never see after, like, today, you know what I'm saying? I noticed Priyanka staring at me, so I gave her a quick smile. My brother is with a nanny, but I still worry about him.
Of course. Families shouldn't be apart.
I will see him in a little while, when schools break up for holiday.
Here in Calcutta?
Yes. I just need to find him a hotel or something like that.
How old is the boy?
14. He's just a kid.
He should come stay with us. You won't have to worry, and the more the merrier.
Really? He can stay here? She beamed, clapping her hands.
Of course, Michael. We have plenty of space.
Oh, Miss Cone, I have no words to express my gratitude. She smiled kindly at me, and once more, before leaving the room, allowing me to call my brother, I stepped out into the hallway in search of a landline phone. Once I found it, I dialed the London number and began listening to the dial tone. After a few seconds, I heard Karen's voice. Hello, Khan's home speaking. The sleepy voice of my younger brother made me smile. Karen, it's me. I finally found a phone. Amala, I thought you didn't call because you actually ran away from me. Oh, shush, don't be silly. How are you? I'm doing all right. I failed my English test. I asked you to be more responsible while I was away, but the coach said I was the best player on the court. I think he'll make me the team captain this year. I'm sure he will. How's Grandma? Are you driving her crazy?
Grandma is lost in her own world, as usual. Alright, I'm gonna go back to bed. It's still early here.
I'm sorry I woke you. I miss you so much.
Yeah, me too. See you soon.
I'm really looking forward to it, okay? Go get some sleep, I'll call you later. Our beeps at the other end of the line and smiled. He's growing up. He's got no time for me now. I hung up the phone and headed downstairs. I entered a spacious, bright room and walked to the dining table. Good morning, Mr. Cahoon. He looked up from his newspaper and smiled warmly at me.
Good morning, Amala. This sari looks great on you.
I smiled back at him and sat down on a chair. Santa entered the dining room with a tray in her hands.
Good morning, miss. Did you sleep well?
Quite well, thank you, but there was a strange noise.
It's quite normal, miss. The house is settling.
How long does it take a house to settle? I know I'm being facetious.
What would you like for breakfast? I'm sorry, we don't serve English breakfast, but I am sure you'll find something else you'd like to eat.
Roti and milk. I don't know what that is. Masala dosa. I believe that's bread with like certain types of dipping sauces or things you put on it. Also coffee with a cinnamon stick. Give it to me, give it to me, give it to me. Idli with a variety of sauces and a cup of coffee. This is tough. I mean, I see coffee and I'm like, yes, please. You know what? We'll do this one. We'll do that one. Santa put the breakfast in front of me and I took a bite. So I looked around the large dining room. A thought popped into my head. Interesting. This house is enormous, clearly too big for a married couple and one servant, but it would be incredibly inappropriate to ask about children. I looked at the cajonas. The woman tenderly stroked her husband's hand, whispering something to him. The man stared at his wife with affection. They love each other, that's for sure. It's quite unusual for an Indian family. Many women end up in arranged marriages with wealthy men they do not love. I feel like the subject of children is sensitive for Miss Cahoon. She was so excited to hear about my brother's visit.
Miss!
My thoughts were suddenly interrupted by the maid standing by the dining room table.
A young man is waiting for you.
Who, Captain Lightwood?
No, Mr. Vaish?
Who's that?
Your guide.
I decided not to bother Santa with any more questions and go meet Mr. Vaish myself. I nodded goodbye to the Cahoons and walked out the front door. Cahoons, I believe. I keep saying Cahoons. There was a man waiting for me outside. Tall, slender, he was gazing off to the side. Mr. Vaish? His dark eyes found me as he turned towards the sound of my voice. Good afternoon, Miss Khan. My name is Ratan Vaish. I am the guide assigned to your task force. I will assist you during your stay in India. Oh, I heard about you. I thought we were supposed to meet up yesterday. I was late, but Mr. Rose, your team leader, decided not to wait for me. Yes, he's like that. I've come to escort you. Your team lead decided that the hotel room where Mr. Hayes, the diplomat, was staying must be inspected. His room was at the same hotel where your colleagues are currently staying. So, they are only waiting for you. Well, in that case, let's go. I headed to the taxi that was waiting for us at the curb. Ratan stood there looking at me and then followed. When he approached me, an odd feeling came over me. It was strange, unfamiliar, and I couldn't think of a term for it. It was also as if his presence and gaze were on me were tangible. Probably assessing you. As I walked, I turned to look at him and saw that he was still staring at me. Careful, Miss Khan. Watch your step. I turned around in time, almost stumbling at the end of the sidewalk. After you, Miss Khan. Ratan opened the car door for me. I complied, keen to get to my team as soon as possible. We raced through the streets of Calcutta, deftly overtaking other cars and taking shortcuts through the windy, narrow alleys. Our driver was quite reckless, honked at other drivers, and cursed in an unfamiliar dialect. It didn't seem unusual. Everyone in Calcutta appeared to be driving like that. I threw a glance at Ratan, who was staring blankly out the window. Did you know the missing diplomat? Let's make the most of the ride. Maybe I'll learn something new.
Yes, I knew him a little. I was his guide for the first few days. Mr. Hayes was a very anxious person. He didn't want anyone around him. I told him everything he needed to know about staying safe in India. After that, he declined any further assistance.
And you haven't seen him since?
No.
Was there anything strange about his behavior?
Apart from his paranoia and arrogance, no.
Yes, it seems like there's a lot of that, of people like that from among British diplomats.
Are you talking about Emmett Rose, your supervisor?
His lips curled into a smile.
He's an extremely unpleasant person. He was really keen to start the investigation at the hotel without you.
I beg your pardon?
The entire task force was there except for you. You were far away having breakfast at the Cajon's house. Captain Lightwood insisted on waiting for you.
Really?
Yes, he was adamant.
That's nice to know. Killian stood up for you. I leaned back in the car seat, silently staring out the window. We were almost at the hotel. We walked through the lobby, went up the stairs. In the hallway, Ratan and I saw the rest of the task force waiting for us. As soon as I spotted Mr. Rose, I felt my blood boil. I won't just let it go. Sometimes there's a fork in the plot. The path you take is determined by your previous choices. I quickly walked towards the group in confident strides. I wanted to confront our leader and get to the bottom of this. Good morning, everyone, Mr. Rose.
Miss Khan.
Is it true that you wanted to ignore my contribution to the task force and start the investigation without me? Killian and Lima exchanged glances.
Don't get me wrong, I simply didn't want to waste precious time. Everyone here speaks English, there's no need for an Indologist.
Fine, I see. Let's get one thing straight, though. I was chosen to join the task force, just like everyone else. My job is important. Why do you get to decide who works and who doesn't?
Because I am the leader of this task force.
The leader of an already established task force, and I'm a part of it. Don't ignore me. If you don't want to waste time waiting, just let me know beforehand at what time I am expected to arrive.
Mr. Rose was clearly embarrassed. He struggled to hide his irritation and only muttered, "As you wish." The team leader addressed the group. Alright, let's get to work. Let's not waste any more time. There's a lot of people to interview, so we should split up. As I already mentioned, the hotel staff speak English. There's no need for Mr. Khan or Mr. Vaish to accompany us at all times. Perhaps, but I'd rather have Miss Khan with me. I met Killian's gaze. There's nothing strange about that. I'm sure we'll learn more if we speak Hindi instead of English.
I agree. I'd also be more comfortable going with Amala.
Mr. Rose looked at the two of them in confusion. Do whatever you want. Just hurry up, Miss Khan. Who do you want to go with?
There's no reason for a guide. We'll go with Killian. I'd rather be safe.
Killian smiled slyly. Fine, Miss Berg. Mr. Vaish, you're with me. Captain Lightwood, I suggest you interview the people on the floor. We'll go downstairs. Got it. Let's get started.
We split up. Killian waited for the rest of the team to leave the second floor, and then he made his way down the hallway. I followed him.
The maids they're very chatty. We can get the most information from them.
I agree. Where can we find them?
It's nearly lunchtime, which means they're getting ready to clean the rooms. I'm sure we'll run into some of them.
We just need to get a maid to talk. If you want us to speak in Hindi, then I'll do it, but will I be able to pull it off?
Killian looked at me with his calm gray eyes and asked, Are you doubting your own abilities?
I've never took part in any kind of investigation or interrogation.
Still, they chose you, and I'm sure they have their reasons. There are no fools in our field.
Oh, are you sure about that, dude? How can you be so sure?
Well, I called headquarters and asked about you.
What?
After our conversation yesterday, I was curious as to who you are and why you were chosen as our Indoologist.
He raised his head, trying to look casual, but I saw him getting flustered. So, what did they say?
Let's skip the details. I can tell you what they vouched for you.
I don't get it. Who vouched for me? Why is it a secret? Can't you just tell me what's going on?
I don't think I have the right to discuss this with you. Let's just say you were chosen for a reason.
He fell silent, effectively ending the conversation. I didn't push because I didn't want to know what else to say. The very fact that he was inquiring about me was baffling. This just is getting more and more confusing. We reached the end of the hallway and saw a staff-only door.
The maids will come out of this door when it's time to clean the rooms. Let's wait here.
I took a step back and leaned against a pillar. Memories of the last few days when my life had been turned on its head flashed through my mind. Just a week ago, I was putting incense on shelves and assisting customers at our family shop, while Kieran, my younger brother, was doing homework in another room. Now I'm here in Calcutta helping investigate a complicated case of national importance. I am Amala Khan, a regular girl who has no prior experience working as an Indoologist. Nevertheless, Killian said that someone vouched for me, but who, why, and what exactly happened here? The constant barrage of questions drove me crazy. I looked at the captain, who was also lost in thought, with his arms crossed over his chest. Our eyes met, although just for a few seconds.
Amala.
Yes.
The pala of your sari, it got caught on your hearing.
I shrugged awkwardly and immediately felt a twinge in my earlobe. The pala, the free edge of the sari that draped over my shoulder, had gotten caught on my long earring. Oh, you're right. Turning my head hurt, so it was difficult for me to look at the pala. Okay, I'm trapped.
I could help if you'd like.
Sure, why not?
Okay.
Killian moved closer to me. His attention was focused on the earring, which he grabbed carefully. While trying to free the earring from the pala, he tilted his head slightly to one side and bit his lower lip. I caught a whiff of his faintly scented cologne. It was light and a little musky. It felt like a forest in the morning, with the fresh pine needles, fragrant mint, and notes of cedarwood. As he untangled the earrings from the fabric, Killian's fingertips brushed against my neck. He noticed it too.
Pardon me.
It's fine. Is it stuck?
No, I'm almost done.
His eyes were bright gray, almost silver in color, framed by thick eyelashes, like a stormy sky. That's nice. I thought it was a long earring, not a green one. I'm just saying.
And, I wonder how you managed to...
I rarely wear such jewelry, and I'm awkward too, and lose everything.
Too bad it suits you.
Killian enjoyed helping you, of course. There were noises coming from the staff-only room. From behind the closed door, we could hear women's voices, footsteps, and the creaking of housekeeping carts.
It's them. They're getting ready to clean the rooms.
Great, showtime. Should we question the first maid we see?
No. There's a particular maid I'd like to question.
Why her?
She's chatty, observant. I was watching her the other day.
How very perceptive of you.
I'm good at my job. I hope you are good at yours, too.
Suddenly, the door opened and several maids emerged from it. They were chit-chatting and having a good time. From the snippets of conversation I could catch, I gathered that they were talking about a cute new waiter at a nearby restaurant. Suddenly, I felt Killian's breath in my ear. He whispered,
"There she is on the right with a nose piercing."
Got it. I waved to the young woman, my gaze falling on the one Killian had pointed out to me. I addressed her in Hindi. Good afternoon. May I speak to you? I just need a moment of your time. My name is Amala. The young woman looked at me from head to toe. She was a little confused and wary at first, but eventually nodded. Okay, ma'am. My name is Madhu. Great. Did you clean Mr. Hayes' room? He was an ordinary, middle-aged British man. Yes, ma'am. I know him. You do. That's great. Killian was watching us in silence. Madhu, tell me about him. Had you noticed any recent changes in his demeanor? He kept to himself, spoke very little. It's hard to describe. Can you tell me anything at all about him? She shrugged and looked away. I'm sorry, ma'am. I know nothing about him. I have hardly seen him. I felt a light touch on my hand. Killian almost imperceptibly grazed my finger, drawing my attention to himself. I looked him in the eye. He shook his head slightly and whispered, She's trying to dodge the question. How do you know she's speaking in Hindi? I thought you didn't speak Hindi. Be kind, be generous, be firm. Alright, let's be firm. Madhu, be honest with me. If I find out you're lying, you'll be in trouble. I decided to take advantage of the situation and pretend to belong to an upper caste. Remember your place and mine. The maid was visibly embarrassed and nervous. Madam, I am being honest with you. Mr. Hayes kept his distance from everyone. He had been jittery lately. Every night he demanded that the hotel manager send security to his room to check everything was in the right place. It was also very hot and stuffy in his room. He never opened the windows to let the air in. Why? He was scared that someone might break into his room. Is it possible that someone did break into his room? She abruptly shied away. No, it's not. Mr. Hayes was very anxious and cursed a lot. Please, ma'am, I don't know anything else. I hardly ever saw him. He was afraid of being followed. He was scared to let us in to clean his room, and after cleaning, he always double-checked that everything was exactly as he left it. He was even scared to have dinner downstairs. He always ordered room service, insisted on having the same waiter deliver his food. Excuse me, ma'am, but I have to get to my work now. Madhu turned away abruptly and quickly walked down the corridor without looking back at us. Killian and I looked at each other. I couldn't understand a word she said, but she seemed nervous. You're right. I told Killian everything the maid had said. He closed his eyes, pinching the bridge of his nose with his fingers, and let out a sigh of resignation. Everything's a mess, Miss Conn. We won't be able to close this case quickly. I was hoping to get back to London next week. How silly of me. She was definitely hiding something. I'd be surprised if she wasn't. Maybe Mr. Rose and the others were able to learn more. Let's find out. We headed towards the top of the hallway. We met up with the rest of the team and took a while to discuss the information we collected. Mr. Rose summarized. So, we haven't learned much. The maids on the first and second floors, as well as Ravi, the waiter, all say similar things. Hayes was nervous, reclusive. He never ate at the restaurant, always ordered room service that had to be delivered by the same waiter, and wouldn't open the door for anyone else. He obsessively kept track of his belongings. He wouldn't let anyone open the windows in his room, even to let fresh air in. He was paranoid. He didn't speak to anyone, wouldn't let anyone in, insisted that the door to his room be guarded at night. We all looked at each other. Any ideas? He was clearly afraid of something, obsessed with the idea of being followed. But what could have scared him so much? That's a good question, Miss Bird. Perhaps it will point us in the right direction. None of the locals would dare break into a nice hotel to rob or attack a foreigner. Everyone knows this. But Hayes was still afraid of being attacked and kept the windows closed. It's ridiculously hot in India. Fear drove him insane. But fear of what? And what happened to him in Calcutta? I was afraid the information we got from the hotel staff is not enough to answer this question. Right, we need to take a proper look at the diplomat's room. Mr. Vash, the room has not been touched, correct? Yes, I made it clear to the staff that they were not to touch anything. In that case, let's have a look. The staff has got it from the information we got from the staff is too flimsy to be useful. Actually, one of the maids found something in the room. I thought you said nothing was touched. Now you're saying they found something in the room.
She entered it after Mr. Hayes went missing. The hotel manager had sent her to check on the guest, but he hadn't been there for days. As soon as the news reached the embassy, I knew that London could take over the case, so I told the police not to touch anything.
So, what did the maid find there?
I don't know. She didn't say anything. She quit the same day.
Okay. Let's go to his room. We'll see where the trail of breadcrumbs takes us. She quit the same day. Interesting. Give you a 5 on that one. So we got some independence, got some loyalty. We have 0 respect, 0 rage, and 0 kindness. Let's go get them diamonds. Alright, got my 3 diamonds. Without further ado, thank you all for watching. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Head down in the description of the video. Plenty of things to check out there. Ways to join the community, support the community, etc. With that being said, love your beautiful faces. So do keep in mind that in the past week we've done like at minimum a dozen videos. I've also done Payday 3, The Expanse. Like I put a thing on the community tab or post, may I say, but the community tab to go read and check out. There's a lot of games we're going to be covering. And not just will we continue to cover choices, but I'm also trying to get through this. So I'm trying also not to bombard you guys. I'm trying to put up about 2 videos a day. We did Expanse chapter or episode 3 and 4 yesterday. 5 is waiting to be uploaded. I didn't want to just slam you all with 3, and one after the other. So today is Callie, and then I was going to upload episode 5 of Expanse. Then tomorrow there will be even more. So again, expect another 2 videos tomorrow. Again, I'm trying to mix long-form content, like hours long, like stream, edited video game play, like Starfield, etc., 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 into the mix of short-form, which are shorter than an hour, you know, like Callie. I'm getting around for Romance Club. Don't think I abandon it by any means, intents, and purposes whatsoever. I'm also waiting for the Diamond event to come back around, so, you know, that way we can try and enjoy more diamond choices and things like that, without exhausting all, like, 500 diamonds that I do have that I've earned through watching tons of ads. Let's put it that way. Like, every time there's 30 minutes up, watching an ad, no matter what I'm doing. Like, middle of a stream, I watch an ad and you know, try and get those diamonds so we can start focusing on not focusing on doing a bunch of the stuff during the diamond events, and then also during the diamond events, because they happen on the weekends, I'm also doing a ton of collaborative content with other creators too. And again, I'm working on a project and all these other things. So right now, when I literally said we're burning the candle at both ends, but all ends, like we're burning it from the sides, we're burning it everywhere. So yeah, there's a lot of content going on. Just wanted to give you guys this message at the end of this video because we're back to Romance Club. I know it's been a few days since the last one was updated, but usually on Wednesdays and Fridays will be choices and then a mixture of Romance Club and other content throughout the other 5 days. So, thank you all for watching. Catch you all later. Peace out.